What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 25, and we're going to rehash something all important, something that everybody struggles with: motivation. What does it mean? How do you find it? How do you use it to do something meaningful in your life? Do I have it? I think the interesting part about it is that it gets overused. I'm big on semantics. Semantics basically mean the meaning of words. I get hung up on things like the word ignorant or deserved versus earned or talent versus skill. And in the case of motivation, what I think people think of it as is discipline, but it's very, very different. The best way to describe motivation, it is like the tinder for a fire before you start roasting a hot dog on it. To me, motivation is not something you can count on. It's not something that comes easily. It is something that appears when it's convenient for you. It's the urge that gets you off the couch to go fold the laundry, or it's the urge that gets you out of the house to go for a run when you know that it's what you wanted to do to get in shape. But what keeps you going on the path to improvement is discipline and not motivation. On a personal level, what I can tell you is that I get my motivation from the pain of not changing. Essentially, I have to get pissed off enough to do something about it, and that's what gets me moving in the right direction. But what keeps me there is knowing that after enough time and enough repetition with that change, whatever it might be, it becomes a habit, and therefore it becomes what people confuse as discipline. Discipline is the in-between of motivation and habit. It's the thing that keeps you doing the thing you don't want to do until it becomes a habit. And once it becomes a habit, it's autopilot. Any attribute of your life that you want to get on track is going to come down to getting pissed off enough about it to make a change, reminding yourself that continuing and keeping going when it's difficult is what sets a habit, and then establishing the habit. In previous episodes, we've talked about how long it takes to build a habit. It could be anywhere from 14 days to 3 months before that habit is fully established. But once you're there and once it's going, you're going to keep on doing the thing that you need to do to make a better life. Another thing I want to touch on when it comes to changing your life and making improvements is the fact that you kind of have to pretend to be the person that you want to be before it actually happens. It's not the same as faking it until you make it, which is way overused, but it's essentially deciding that today you're going to wake up and pretend to be the person that you want to become until enough things about you change and you become that person. And along the way on that voyage, you're going to fall into all sorts of traps like imposter syndrome and self-doubt, because you don't really know if you're the person that you want to become yet. The way that you get there is by fighting through all of those hiccups and hurdles until all of the right habits are established, which is impossible. So let's just say most, and you're back on track. What are the things that you want to change, and how do you get there? If you guys have never heard of this guy, his name is Dave Ramsey. Boop. He's one of the most famous financial advisors on the internet. He's been doing it for decades. Boop. And he does the snowball method for fixing people's finances. So the great analogy is if you have 3 credit cards that are backlogged and you're trying to get caught up on paying, where do you start? You start with the smallest credit card first. Once that's paid off, you work on the second. And then once that's paid off, you work on the third. You're able to build momentum with this path to be able to accomplish tackling the biggest obstacle, but you don't start there. And the same thing is to be said with writing out your goals. So let's say you want to save money, quit smoking, start working out, start cooking your own food. Whatever those 4 options are the easiest for you is where you start. You don't pick on 2 of them, you don't pick on 3 of them, and you certainly don't try to attack all 4. Pick one. So it's quit smoking. Get 14 days without cigarettes under your belt. Now you're ready to start running or working out, whatever that might be. And establishing the habits from the smallest to the largest is the best way to build momentum so you can accomplish tackling the big monster that's looming over your head every single day. Do not pick the biggest task first. Writing out your goals is an essential part of trying to figure out where you're going in this life. And if you're not willing to do that, then you're not willing to remove the veil from your eyes and see what the world's really about. The best thing you guys can do is write out some goals and start attacking the smallest first. That's going to speak to the whole imposter syndrome, which is very popular when people start to doubt whether or not they're the person who's earned their position in life or not. And chances are, if they have imposter syndrome, they either haven't spent enough time in the shoes of a person who's successful, or they haven't worked hard enough to feel like they actually have earned the position they're in. So the answer to that is just keep on pretending to be the person you want to be. Keep on doing all the things that that person would do if you were that person. Treating yourself almost like an invisible or make-believe mentor is going to be the best way to go about this. If you were your best self, how would you handle the situation? If you were the mentor or the leader that you look up to, how would they handle the situation? Talk yourself through life like this. So it starts off by writing out all your goals, starting with the smallest ones first, getting over the hump in the difficult period of trying to establish a habit, letting the habit get established, and then running it on autopilot. If you guys are not willing to give a new habit or a new action in your life at least 30 days to try before it gets established, you're never going to find meaningful change. And I'm sorry to say, none of the meaningful changes in your life that you guys want to have are going to come easy. We got our first ever caller, so I'm going to play the call real quick and we're going to talk about what's going on.
And so what happens to me, I get a job, I overwork it, and then I crash out and burn, and I feel terrible. And then I go try to find a job, and I'm crying through every resume. And then I go to the interviews, and I overdo it because I'm excited and nervous, and I have ADHD. And it's a job I don't want because it's not a good fit for me, but I'm desperate to work because I don't like being homeless. And so I take on the job, and I kill it because I'm in soldier mode. And either I crash and burn and quit within a few weeks or months and start the whole thing over again, or I can keep a job for a little while because nobody's bothering me and I can kill it at work, but I have a male boss who doesn't like how hard I work because I'm showing him up, and so I eventually have to quit that job because I can't move up because I'm being blocked. There you go.
Thank you so much for sharing the call. You did share some deeply personal stuff, which I trimmed out for your sake and for the fact that that doesn't deserve to be on the internet. But I want to talk to you about a couple of things you mentioned, which I think are super, super common and I can relate to them. You overwork until the point where you're crashing out, you crash and burn, you're overdoing it on the interviews, likely because you're nervous, you struggle with ADHD, and you find yourself working jobs that may not be a good fit, but you have the ability to go into soldier mode, and sometimes you think you're outworking your boss. The biggest takeaway from me, and I see this from people all the time when starting a new job, is that they pick a pace that's not sustainable. Or they pick a pace that's right. That's the right thing to do. They're working really, really hard, but they haven't developed discipline enough to keep it up. So this comes down to integrity. You are who you are, or you are who you want to become. But if you want to become somebody greater than who you are now, it's going to take a lot of work. So when you start a new job and you bust your ass and you overwork yourself and then you fizzle out, you either picked a pace that was too intense that you can't sustain, which is disingenuous. It's not being honest with people around you, or it is something that should be sustained and you're just telling yourself that you're working too hard and it's allowing you to slack off. I'm not trying to sound like somebody who says just work harder, that'll solve all your problems, but truthfully, you need to figure out where is the even level for you. Is it working hard every single day? Because if it is, that's who you need to become. You need to stop having peaks and valleys in your life. It'll make things a lot more consistent. You will be less likely to burn out and you'll be less nervous during the interview because you're going to have confidence in yourself. This is who I am. I know that I come in, I do my best, I work really hard. That's who I am. And when I bring that to an interview, my interviewer on the other end of the table is either going to see that or they're not. And if they don't see it, that's fine. Somebody else will. But I know who I am and I know the level of output that I can do. You have the ability to get into soldier mode. Most people don't have that, but I'm sad to say soldier mode is every day. If you're not willing to be in soldier mode every day, then you're not being honest with the people around you and you're setting an expectation that your performance is up here, but then you get tired and you can't stick it out, you drop down, now they feel like they've been betrayed. That could be the biggest part of the problem for you, is that you're coming in so hot, so heavy at the start that after you've fizzled out and you come down here, they're like, well, I don't know who this person is anymore. They lied to us on the interview. And that's a really, really common place for people to end up. So don't feel alone. Don't feel lost here. In regards to ADHD, I have it. I think everybody has it. And the question that I'm going to have for you is labeling your ADHD helping or hurting you? Is putting on a label of something you're struggling with making it easier or harder for you to get over obstacles in life? You may have that label and your psychiatrist may tell you, here's your medication and don't worry about it. You're not broken. And you're not broken, but by labeling yourself, you're also allowing yourself to fall into the trap of making an excuse every time something gets hard and you don't make the cut. I can't answer that question for you. I don't know if that's who you are, the person who makes excuses based on your disability, or if it's actually something you're really struggling with like the rest of us. That's something for you to do some soul searching on and figure out where you're at with that diagnosis. You've got the ability to do soldier mode, but you got to remind yourself that soldier mode is every day. If you're the soldier who gets to the front lines and runs through their magazine and burns through their ammo and they're out of ammo in the first 5 minutes of the fight, that's not a good soldier either. So you have to figure out a way to pace and conserve energy and be a good soldier every single day, because it's not a part-time gig. It's an all-day thing. Person you want to become and your ideal role model, they're a soldier every day. And the last thing I want to say is showing up your boss. Unfortunately, that's a harsh reality of life. I've worked at companies that are family owned. Maybe I'll never be a part of that family, and that is not something I can solve by being frustrated. In life, you're going to work harder than your boss. You're going to work harder than your peer, but it goes back to integrity. Who are you? Are you the person who works hard sometimes or always? Because if you're the always person, then it's not going to bother you that you're working harder than other people. Stay in soldier mode, tone it back on the interviews. Don't overwork yourself so that you crash and burn. It's not worth it. Pick a pace that works for you. Have the integrity and believe in yourself that you're a good person, you're putting your best foot forward, and that it'll all pay off in the end, because it will. Even if this job that you have right now is not the one that rewards you and levels you up in life, having the right habits will, and it's the only way to guarantee that you'll get better opportunities in the future. Thank you so much for calling, and for those of you guys who watched this episode, thanks so much for participating. Drop a comment below, subscribe, boost the algorithm. If you like this video, give us a like, and we'll see you next week.